Hey guys, so today we'll be going through a simple DHCP process of a packet capture. So I'll be connecting a client directly to the MX device, and we'll just capture the traffic and take a look at the DHCP process. I hope you enjoy it. So if we go over to here, security and SD-WAN, and we've got DHCP. So we're going to just go into here, and then if you scroll down, we have VLAN 50, and that's what I tested DHCP with. So I've got a client, I plugged it into the MX, and it's going to get an IP address of VLAN 50. So this is a simple setup. It's just running a DHCP server. The least time of the day. It's going to provide the public DNS of Google, and that's pretty much the setup. So if we go into security and SD-WAN and head to the address and VLANs page, we'll see over here the VLAN is hosted on the MX, and this port here, port 2. The client is connected on port 2, and it goes through the DHCP process. So if I go into network wide clients, and then I show the client, so it's essentially TechMe PC, that's the client. So if you go into it, it's got this IP address 50.4. Now if we go under security and SD-WAN, if we go into network wide packet capture, what I did was I went over to here and I did a packet capture for the MX, the security appliance. I selected the MX. I did it on the LAN interface since the client is plugged into port 2 of the MX, and then I downloaded the packet capture for Wireshark. I ran it for the amount of time that I needed, and then I left the file name as default, and then I started the capture. And then once I've started the capture, I went over to the client and I did an IP config release and an IP config renew. And then I just stopped the capture. So let's go ahead and take a look at the capture that we have. So let's use the filter. So let's take this MAC address, and at the moment it's got bootp. So you can use bootp or DHCP. It's entirely up to you, but I just use bootp, which was eventually replaced by DHCP. So let's go ahead and I'm going to use bootp and then put the filter in. To only solely look at the MAC address. You'll see the same thing, but if you had multiple clients doing a DHCP and you just want to see a particular client, you would put in the MAC address like this. So let's go ahead and analyze these packets. So here you have a release from the IP config release, and you have a discover offer request acknowledge. So let's look at the release. So here you have this Dell client, this workstation, is sending a packet to the MX to say, okay, I have this IP and I'm going to send it to you, and I'm going to release this packet. So it's saying that the IP address that it's going to release is this 192.168.50.4. Now let's look at the process. So this discover offer request acknowledge is what's known as the DORA process. So it's DORA, and it's discover offer request acknowledge, and that's how you remember it. So if you click in the discover, so essentially this client, this Dell machine, is just saying, hey, I just want to discover a DHCP server, but I also, as you could see here, it's actually requesting an IP address because it's had this IP address before. So this is an interesting one. So if I click into the MX now, this is moving over to the offer. So the offer is sent from the MX and it's sent to the Dell MAC address. So at the moment it's layer 2, but here is actually layer 3 because it is the IP address of the MX, and it's given the offer to 50.4. So it's actually sent the packet to a layer 3 address of 50.4 towards the client because it's requested 50.4. So as you can see, it's given it a bit of details. So let's take a look at the offer. So here we have a DHCP server identifier, which is the MX 50.1, and you have the subnet mask, you have domain name servers, so 8.8.8.8 and 8.8.4.4. So and also it has the lease time. So you can look at the lease time and it says 1 day. So you could unpack a lot of details about the offer here. So let's go ahead and look at the request. So the Dell workstation, if I clean this up, it's actually requested the IP address now. So let's look at So what it's done, it's requested the IP address of 192.168.50.4 now, and the DHCP identifier is 50.1, and the client MAC that's requesting it is the Dell machine. So let's go ahead and now look at the acknowledgement. Also notice that the request of the client is actually still a broadcast message, and now you have an acknowledgement. So acknowledgement is the DHCP server, the MX in this case, is actually acknowledging that the client has this IP address, and it does it. And as you could see, the messages are sent from 192.168.50.1 over to 50.4, and it's actually acknowledged. So it's saying, okay, your client IP address over here is 192.168.50.4, and here is the acknowledgement, and the actual client is the Dell. So that's essentially a client which requested an IP address, so it already knew what IP address it wanted. Let's take a look at a capture where it doesn't know. So let's take a look. So here's a client and a server. So this is Charlie Charlie 00, and this is Charlie Charlie 01, and you can see, so Charlie Charlie 01 is the DHCP server. So the client sends a discover, as you can see, and it's sent from no IP address. It's 0.0.0.0, and it's a destination IP, a broadcast address. So that's the discover. Now let's look at the let's look at the DHCP discover a bit more detail, and as you can see, there's no requested IP address. It's just saying, hey, I'm looking for a DHCP server. So the DHCP server picks it up, and it actually says, okay, here I am, and I'm going to give you an offer of an IP address. Sorry, this is this is an offer. So 192.168.0.3 is the IP address that's being offered to this client Charlie Charlie 00. Now let's go over to the request. So now Charlie Charlie 00 is actually requesting this IP address. The requested IP address over here is 192.168.0.3 over to the DHCP server. And again, as you could see, all of the packets, the destination IPs are broadcast addresses, as the client does not know what IP address, and the requested IP address, a specific one. So now you just move over to the acknowledgement, and Charlie Charlie 01, which is the DHCP server, is actually saying, okay, here's your client IP address, Charlie Charlie 00, and my IP address is 192.168.0.1, and I'm acknowledging this DHCP process. So essentially that's the DHCP process. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.